Hey, welcome to Tabletop Skirmish Games and part 3 of our How to Play Weekend Warrior series. I'm Lee, and in this video I'll be taking you through all the rules you need to know to carry out the different actions in the game. In part 1 we went through the key concepts and everything you need to know to get started. Part 2 was an overview of actions, activations and the actions, but now we're going to really focus in on those actions and look at all the rules that they bring to the table. Let's start with movement, and movement comes at a cost of 1 action, and the distance your warrior can move is indicated by their movement characteristic and number of actions. Most warriors move in increments of up to 2 inches at a cost of 1 action for each increment moved. During their activation, a warrior can move any number of times up to their action allowance, but must finish the movement on a flat surface that supports their base and allows them to stand freely. There's a rule within movement called continuous movement, and if a warrior has 2 or more actions remaining, they can choose to link them together and make one continuous movement. For example, during a continuous movement, where the warrior has 3 actions remaining, they can move 3 times in one go to a total distance of 6 inches. During a continuous movement, your warrior can use all the different types of movement. They can move in any direction, over terrain, climb up or down walls, and jump across gaps, but it's up to you to use your judgment to decide what is out of bounds. For example, a warrior with 3 actions can use a continuous movement to walk 2 inches, jump across a gap no wider than 2 inches, even if the warrior's base is not supported on a flat surface at the end of the jump, and then continue to walk another 2 inches. I've designed movement in Weekend Warriors to be fluid, dynamic and fun. So be creative, link all the different movements and take advantage of the terrain. If any movement seems dubious or your opponent raises a concern, you can simply roll off to decide if it's possible. Now let's take a look at the special rules that you can add for movement. Now these are optional but awesome, and they definitely add to the game. The first special rule is close combat, and your warrior cannot make a movement when in base contact with an enemy warrior. And if you use this rule, then you'll also need to use the push rule to learn how to move out of close combat. The next is jumping, and your warrior can jump horizontally across open spaces to the amount of their movement characteristic. For example, if a movement characteristic is 2 inches, they can jump a gap or space of up to 2 inches, but don't forget their base has to support them when they finish their move action or continuous move action. Next we've got falling, and falling doesn't cost any movement inches. A warrior can fall down any distance of 3 inches or less without suffering any damage, but if the distance they fall is more than 3 inches, then they lose 1 heart. And the final special rule is rough terrain, and warriors can move across obstacles or pieces of scatter terrain less than 1 inch high as normal. Anything over 1 inch will slow them down, so a +1 action penalty will be placed on the continuous movement. If a warrior moves across 2 separate pieces of rough terrain in one continuous movement, they must take a +1 penalty for each piece of terrain. You can designate areas on the battlefield as rough terrain, and this can include things like swamps, thick mud, rocky outcrops, and maybe even waterlogged bomb craters. It's up to you how and what you assign as rough terrain during the battlefield design stage. Now let's move on to climbing, and this is going to cost you 1 action penalty if you implement it. If the terrain looks climbable, your warrior can climb it. If a flat, high wall looks like it would not be climbable, then they can't climb it, unless of course they have some specialist gear. When a warrior climbs, they must use the relevant number of move actions for the distance they have climbed and spend an additional +1 action as a penalty. This penalty represents the extra time that they would take to climb. For example, if a warrior has 3 actions remaining, they can choose to either 1. Move horizontally 3 times to a total of 6 inches. 2. They could climb vertically 2 times to a total of 4 inches and then apply the +1 action penalty for that climb. Or 3. They could choose to move horizontally 1 time, climb 1 time to a total of 4 inches, and then take that +1 action penalty for the climb. Let's talk about the terrain, and I would recommend making most of your climbable terrain to a height of 3 inches. A 3-inch climb would require a warrior to make a continuous movement of 4 inches, so that would be 3 inches vertically and 1 inch horizontally, so the base would finish on a flat surface. This would cost a total of 3 actions, 2 move actions, and the +1 action penalty to climb, so most warriors could carry this out. Climbing is best suited to warriors with light armour, as they have more actions. They're going to get 5 per activation. Warriors with heavy armour have fewer actions, they only get 3 per activation. And this difference reflects that those wearing heavy armour won't be as agile, and those wearing light or medium armour would be a lot more flexible. They could move around a lot freely too. You can put things on your terrain like ladders or stairs, even ropes and pipes, and then you could use that to negate that 1 action penalty. Like many rules in Weekend Warriors, the climbing penalty is optional, and if you'd rather move the warriors around freely without penalties, then that will make the game a lot easier, especially if playing with younger players. So you've got a lot of control here, and the game really is only as complicated as you want to make it. That's covered the rules for movement and climbing, so come and join me for part 4 of this How to Play Weekend Warrior series, where we'll look at the remaining actions your warrior can take and the rules that apply to them. I hope this video was helpful, and I can't wait to see you in the next part of this How to Play Weekend Warrior series. But for now, thanks so much for watching. Please like if you like it, subscribe for more videos like this, and don't forget to hit that notification bell to join me next time on Tabletop Skirmish games. If you'd like to get some awesome benefits and support the channel as well, then you can join my Patreon page from as little as £3 per month, and you'll get some great benefits including skirmishes each month, one for sci-fi, one for fantasy, lots of other freebies as well. And if you join at the top level, the £10 per month level, you'll get a free PDF copy of the book. So I'll put a link in the description below for you to check it out and see if you're interested, and it'd be great to see you there.